everyone. I don't think I've ever been so calm as I'm about to pick up a microphone and start. I'm going to add this to my regular routine. I'm Nicholas Johnson, the publisher of Axios. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on a beautiful French Riviera morning. This is the reason we come to Cannes. It all makes sense now. All of a sudden. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a full, fun week of programming here, and we wouldn't be able to do any of this without our support of our partners, so we're super excited to be in partnership with Mastercard today, not just for this great day of programming, this great view, this amazing space. Thank you, Raja, for making all of that possible.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Is it working?
Welcoming us into your home away from home. There you go.
Working? Oh, okay, fine.
But good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Thanks for being here. Let's just jump right into it. Big picture, how about? Congrats on the book.
Thank you very much.
So why don't you take us a little bit on the journey of the idea for that, what prompted to write about, or what prompted you to write it, and what you learned on the way.
Okay, so where do I begin? I'll begin with my grandfather. So he was an author. He has written a book. And he was a specialist in English literature. His written language was very good, not necessarily the spoken accent. And my father was an author. He has written a book too. So automatically there was pressure on me now to write a book too. Except I don't have the prowess in English literature like they both had. And my area of domain of expertise is marketing. So I wanted to write a book on marketing at some stage. When I joined Mastercard, I started looking at our strategy for the company. And I started questioning everything as in every single thing. And I started realizing that a lot of things that are done, not at Mastercard, but at the entire industry, or rather not only at Mastercard, but the entire industry, is absolutely outdated, obsolete, and stupid.
Don't mince words.
I don't mince words. So I said, my God, this is pretty crazy. And I said, let me just validate it through talking to some people, through some academicians, to some colleagues, my peers, other CMOs in other companies, and so on. And I said, we are all in a mode of group think. We are all convincing ourselves and conditioning ourselves that this is the way to do without questioning what we are doing. And I said marketing needs to be totally reinvented and reimagined. I'll give you a couple of examples. So for example, if you look at advertising, advertising is a method of communicating about your brand or your product or your service or your company in a format that is interesting to the consumer. So you draw their attention, and you tell your story, and then they're hopefully influenced positively in favor of your brand or whatever it is that you're advertising. On an average, consumers around the world, not just in the United States, but across the world, on an average, a consumer is bombarded anywhere between 3,000 and 10,000 advertisements every single day. You may call them advertisements, call them commercial messages, every single day, 3,000 to 10,000. Even at 3,000, it is a huge amount of data overload that the human brain cannot process. Then how do you really cut through that clutter? And to make matters worse, consumer span of attention is shrinking. Now it is under 8 seconds, which is less than that of a goldfish. So I have a very narrow window of attention span, and you got thousands of ads coming to you. So as a marketer, then we talk about something called share of voice. If there is a lot of noise in this room, and if I have to be heard, I have to outshout other people. So I start raising my voice. You start raising voice. All that has happened is the decibel level has gone up, the advertising clutter has gone up, but consumers are not impacted. They are learning more and more to tune themselves out of all the ads. So I said, then why are we advertising? Because we haven't explored alternative ways of doing. So at Advertising Week, which happens in New York, it's all about advertising, obviously, I stood on the stage and said, advertising is dead. And of course, I was geared up if anyone was going to throw anything at me. Fortunately, I survived. But I sincerely mean it. Advertising the way it is today is dead. Every single aspect of the advertising ecosystem needs to be reinvented. And at Mastercard, what we did is we cut down over the last few years our advertising budget by more than 70% and moved that money into experiential marketing. And you, instead of storytelling, which is advertising, we talk about story making, which is about experiential marketing. And in that, we try to influence the consumer in a good, positive way, not by being salesy, but curate experiences which are truly priceless that they cannot forget for the rest of their lives, and they become our advocates. So this is how we are started doing it. I call it quantum marketing.
I want to come back to the experience part in a minute because that's super fascinating, but I want to take a little bit of a detour. Like there's a chapter in the book that's super fascinating where you talk about brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are dead, you killed advertising, you're not a huge believer in brand loyalty now either.
Either, yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and what that means for advertising, and then how brands should think about, like in lieu of loyalty, building trust, building what?
Yeah, brand loyalty is a myth. And I'm very convinced, and I can say it clearly, that if you're running loyalty programs, you're wasting money. Collectively, we have got more than $1.2, $1.3 trillion which are spent on loyalty programs. And I'll tell you what the genesis to this whole thing is. I was looking at an article on BBC.com which asked the question to the respondents who are either married or were in a relationship, say that how many of you have cheated on your partners? And I thought about it before looking at the answer, and I said, maybe 50% because that's a divorce rate. But that has a huge assumption that every divorce is because of cheating. It need not be. So I said, maybe that it's around 35, 40%. And it was shockingly 70%. Plus, 15% more have said that they don't mind cheating if they are sure they will not get caught. Right? Because there is if you are caught while cheating, your reputation may be in the toilet. There could be a financial damage. There could be emotional damage to the people that you genuinely and truly care about. So you know the consequences of cheating, and you have also committed to not cheat. You said, till death do us part. I shall be loyal to you or faithful to you, whatever is the word that you use. So in spite of making an explicit commitment, and in spite of knowing the consequences, people are not hardwired for loyalty. 85% of the people are not hardwired for loyalty. Now we come as brands and say, I'm running a loyalty program. I'm giving you 1 mile for every dollar that you spend on my card, and thou shalt be loyal to me. Is the ultimate form of kidding, and it's $1.2 trillion worth of wasted money. Now, that's why I say loyalty is stupid. Now, on the other hand, stickiness is important. You want your consumers to stick with you, but don't confuse it with loyalty. You need stickiness platforms, which means you have to create inertia. Once you're an Apple, you can rarely get out of Apple because the entire ecosystem, you are stuck in it, and it's hugely difficult for you to move out into an Android kind of an ecosystem. Or it could be a transactional kind of an approach where you get an incentive and you say, you know what, this is worth going for. The point is you need to understand when consumers are making a decision, and at the point of decision or the moment of truth, you need to influence their preference. That is preference management platforms. No, you should run preference management platforms, not loyalty platforms.
So let's dig into this. Okay, we've killed advertising. We've called loyalty a myth. What is left? And that comes to the experience.
Oh, every aspect of marketing, trust
right?
me.
Well, let's talk about that then. So
Yes.
Instead of that, you've touched on this, but I want you to go a lot deeper because I think it's fascinating. Like how are lived experiences then a part of it, and as a mechanism for getting? And I'll pour you a glass of water if you need one while you answer this one.
So what is the question?
On the experiences side.
Experiences side. See, what happens is, even listening to a story is experience. Reading a book is an experience. Listening to a podcast is an experience. The more interactive it is, the more immersive it is, the more compelling the experience is, the more memorable that experience is. When you're listening to a book, your mind is working, and it is visualizing what is being told. It is engaging one sense of yours, which is the sense of hearing. If you're reading a book, you're holding the book and you're reading it, you're engaging your sense of vision and you're visualizing rest of it, and the story is being narrated. If you're watching a movie, it is both audio and video, and it is very, very even more immersive. So a movie is typically a lot more immersive than a book or an audio podcast or whatever. In a physical experience, you engage all the five senses: the sense of touch, smell, taste, and of course, sight and hearing. And this multisensory experience that people go through in these experiences, which are truly immersive and engage all their senses, people go away with a very significant impact, with lasting impressions and lasting memories. So what we have tried to do is, like, if you look at sponsorships, the classical model of sponsorships is, say, I'm sponsoring Champions League, UEFA Champions League. It's a great tournament, 100 million people watch annually, and so on. The classical way is put your brand on the perimeter board, put your brand wherever, buy some advertising time. You're repeatedly trying to show your brand, and you're trying to show your ads. It's worked for a while, when the clutter was a lot lesser. And in some cases, because of frequency, because of the clutter, some of the companies you see, it is the same damn ad. They show again and again and again. Consumers are not morons. You showed them once or twice, it's fine. Don't show the same thing off. And the best example of this, I think, or the worst example is called Head On. Have you seen that thing called Head On? So they show, it's the most annoying ad in the whole world. It's like a application stick, you put it, and it says, head on for a headache, head on for a headache. And they keep chanting it, repeatedly. But the same thing is true for most of the other ads I'm seeing. Every single break, it's the same ad that you show again, because you feel that the fellow has not seen the ad before in the previous break, therefore you have to do it. Now what we have done is, we said, that's not what is important. When we negotiate with sponsorship assets or partners, we say that we want experiences. Back to UEFA Champions League. We have an amazing hospitality, and we negotiate the space that we get for hospitality so that we can have as many of our customers, prospects, and consumers to come and experience it.
Yeah.
Or, just I'll complete the thought in 1 second and I'll pass it on to you. Or, the second thing we do is, we have got, for example, small children. We call them player mascots. They're wearing the Mastercard colors and the logo. They are holding the player's hand, and they walk into the field, and that's all televised. You should see that this is a life-changing experience for those tiny tots, and for the parents of those tiny tots, and for the entire neighborhoods of those tiny tots. They can't stop bragging about it, and they say, my kid was, or is a mascot for such and such a player on the thing. This has earned us more stickiness, brand preference, and positive aura than any advertising we can think in terms of. The proof of the pudding, and I'll stop with this. The proof of the pudding is, as a brand, we are one of the fastest growing brands in the world. Fastest growing. We are more liked as a brand than, brace yourselves, we are more loved than Apple, more loved than Microsoft, more loved than Nike, more loved than, I know there is somebody from Amazon here. Okay, you're not, the person was outside. Okay, good. So it's more loved. It's unbelievable for a Mastercard company, for a payment technology company, right? That's phenomenal. One of the top 20 fastest growing brands in the world, and we are the 12th most valuable brand in the world.
Spin this forward, then. Like, what's next, right? We're talking about where we are now. I can't help but notice that, like, we're living an experience right now. Exactly. Like, this is far more memorable than anything else I could probably go through. What do you see over the horizon? And I'm going to have to drop into that a question about AI, how that fits into that kind of experience.
Perfect. So what was the question?
Just talk about AI while I gaze at the ocean.
All right. So here is the thing. Today morning, we had a roundtable with some of the foremost CMOs in the world. And every one of them was saying, wow, where they came to this place, they experienced the hospitality, and they went back with their tiny gift bag or whatever it is. So it was amazing. Now what happens is you get then into the conversations, you get into the salience of people's mindsets, and you're remembered, hopefully, with positive associations that they have gone through. What we find is AI is a tool that doesn't have to dehumanize anything. In fact, AI can be such a fantastic co-pilot for you. And sorry for borrowing Microsoft word, but that's a great phrase, co-pilot. So we can actually brainstorm to come up with better and better ways to engage with consumers. Make it very, very personalized without being intrusive or without violating anybody's privacy. And this is something which we find AI can also be such a phenomenal tool for increasing your productivity that you can push a lot through the budgets that you have got and a lot faster and a lot more high in quality.
Very much is it like this is something that's come up a lot in Cannes, like additive to the human work, not replacing the human.
And in fact, for that reason, I already registered this particular term before I started talking about it. I call it augmented intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence, but it's augmented intelligence. So it augments your existing intelligence. It plays a co-pilot for you. You're absolutely right.
So before we get the hook here, at Axios we did it on one fun thing. Here we do it on one can thing. As we think about the folks here in the room, the folks down on the croissant, like what's the one thing that they should take away, you think, from this kind of week? What's one tip you would have for them?
From a experience perspective, or from an interaction perspective, or from a venue perspective?
But you pick, but experience is probably on brand since we're having an experience here.
So there are 3-4 things we do. Number one is you create a beautiful ambience for the experience. The context matters. So therefore, we went out of the way, and I have got Julia sitting out here, and Macy is outside there. These are the two who actually were the brains behind this entire effort, and they did a brilliant, brilliant job. So when you come here, you feel first expression, wow, this place looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But you see here, there is so much of Mastercard branding, but hopefully it's not in your face. It is there, it is present, it is ubiquitous, but it is not revolting or repulsive. Number one. So ambience and blend your brand into it without losing prominence, number one. Number two, for me, engage the senses, whether it is the fragrances that we're using here, whether it is the food that we are actually serving, or whether it is the human touch, where everyone is made to feel welcomed, everyone is made to feel special, and everyone has a good time, and genuinely add value because it's a privilege that somebody is giving us their time. And you have to be very respectful of that. You don't take it for granted. It's a privilege to be able to get somebody else's time. So you better do justice to it. Give them content. Give them whatever it is that is necessary to make them happy. So this is how we look at this experience in total. And this is the third year we have been doing this one. And year over year over year, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's getting higher and higher profile. Like this year, today in the evening, we are having that, it's tomorrow evening. For the nth time, I can't remember her name. Sophie Ellis Baxter. So she's going to perform here tomorrow.
Right.
Or we have got the McLaren car. For those of you who are F1 fans, that's a very nice touch. We're having Zach Brown also coming tomorrow. And he's going to be doing a fireside chat. And he's the CEO of McLaren team and a wonderful partner of Mastercard. And we have got this partnership here with Axios, where you guys bring in serious, good content.
Well, that's what's coming up next, Raja. Thanks so much for hosting us here, engaging all of our 5 senses. It's a fascinating conversation. Everyone else, stick around. I'm going to bring up my colleague, Sarah Fisher. The conversation continues.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.